To do a beaded art yarn, you start with your preparation, and you're going to match whatever yarn you want with whatever color beads you like. Okay, and there is no right or wrong answer. I'm using white. White really shows off a lot of these stone beads, which is why I'm doing it. So what you need for this is your fiber, your beads that can actually go through your orifice. I've made the mistake on more than one occasion of buying beads that actually don't go through. And you need a package of these. Now, these are bridge flossers that you can get at Walmart, Target, Walgreens, your local drugstore, anywhere where they sell a lot of dental supplies. You can get these bridge flossers, and what it is it's just a loop with a stick on the end. So you're gonna need, and this costs like $3, $3 or $4. I got this at Walmart, and there's, I think, 50 in this case. So if you lose them, it's no big deal. If you break it, it's no big deal, as opposed to beading needles, which are like $3 or $4 a piece, and they're not all that helpful when you're working with yarns that are this big. So we've got our flosser here. We just pull the yarn, break the yarn off, pull it through. Here we are going to take it, put it through the hole in our bead, bead the yarn on, and then we're going to continue to spin here. And what we want to do with this bead is we want it to get close to the orifice. Worsted join our fiber back up. Okay. And then we want to short draw backwards at least a foot or two. Okay. With beads this big, and with you've got to pretty much feed it in manually. Make sure that you don't break anything, that you don't tear up your flyer. So we're just going to manually, very carefully set them on. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if we move them over. If you notice how this bead lays down on top of the bobbin, that's what you want if you're using these tooth beads. Is you want your tension to be tight enough that the next time that this goes around, which I will just manually bring the flyer around, you want the yarn to just wrap around the top of the bead here. Okay? Alright. Let's come back to here, and then we'll just keep drafting. Okay. And one thing that's helpful with doing this this type of technique, especially with these larger beads, is just figuring out how many beads you want to put on your hank, and then breaking up your fiber into roughly equal lengths or unequal lengths, however you want to do it, and then spinning the short section of wool, adding in your bead, spinning the next section, adding your bead, spinning the next section, and adding your bead. Okay. On this one, I'm just going to wing it. Now, there's 4 main ways of thread locking your beads on. There's a significant problem when you put these things in an actual garment. The bead will, if it's not thread locked, will slide around, abrade your yarn, and eventually break it. So you've got to stabilize your bead. You can either do it on the wheel or you can do it as you're knitting. And I will show you how to do that right now. So we'll go ahead and we'll break it. We'll add another bead in. Okay. So the 2 most simple ways of thread locking a bead, a large bead, is to tie a knot, or tie 2 knots, depending on how you're doing it. So what you would do is you would tie a knot on this side, slide the bead into it, tie a knot on this side, make sure and butt it right up to it so that this bead cannot go sideways, because it's this motion on a garment that causes the bead to just cut right through your garment. Now it may take several years, but it will eventually happen if this bead is not stabilized. So you can do it now, or you can do it as you're knitting the garment. So if the advantages to doing it now is you don't have to worry about it later. The advantages to doing it later are that as you're knitting, you will be able to slide the bead up and down the yarn so that one bead does not line up with another one. You can strategically place them a little bit easier, get the distribution that you like a little bit better. And you can tailor that to any garment if you thread lock it later, which would just include either tying a knot on this side, or just tying a knot on the back side, and that, once it's knit up, is thread locked. It won't go anywhere, and it won't cause much significant abrasion that it would eventually destroy your garment. There's another way of thread locking, and you do it on essentially the same way that you would thread lock if you were plying. So you can thread lock these by just going back and plying it against a thread or another nice sized yarn, and you'll get a good thread lock that way. Or you can just thread lock it on the ply without ever plying it. So what you do is as you're spinning it, you back up your yarn here like this. You take your beading string here, you thread one of the strands, okay, you thread your bead on. We use a smaller one for this. Thread your bead on, okay. Okay, go back to, slide him up, go back to spinning, close that up, and you've got a thread locked bead, okay? He's not going anywhere. This method takes more time. I don't think it's worth it. But if you like it, you like the way that it looks, you don't mind taking the extra time to thread lock a bead like this, it works, okay? Those are the 3 main ways to thread lock a bead outside of the ply. You can thread lock beads by plying, which works great for seed beads, does not work so great for these. Okay. One thing that I don't worry about so much when I'm spinning these beaded art yarns is the the diameter thickness. I just kind of let it do what it wants. You know, if it wants to get all nice and slubby, I let it do it. If it wants to get thinner, you know, I let it do it. I just try to, you know, let the thickness of the yarn be as much of the art as the bead. If you liked this video and you'd like to see more, leave a comment in the comment section so that I can get to the topic later. If you like what you've seen in this video as far as products go, please visit my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/sugarhousewoolworks and check out my work. Have a great day. Happy spinning.